Hey, I'm Corey Hield with Underbite Games, and I'm one of the designers on Sentinels of Freedom. We thought it'd be interesting to show you how the game got started with a physical prototype where the other designer and we got to sit down and actually kind of play the game before we got started. So let's take a look. So what you're seeing here is our first prototype. This is how we got started. You can see that scale doesn't necessarily mean anything, but it did look a little more interesting. As we come down here, we've got some awesome Matchbox cars and some random game pieces. So there's several different games kind of put together here. Basically, these guys, all you're seeing here would represent the villains. And over here, we have the amazing heroes and their super awesome van. That was what we used in the beginning for the heroes. As far as stats go, our designer, Chris Miles, put together these character sheets, and they're very similar to what you would see in like an RPG game or something like that. Here we've got the hero sheets. We've got Tachyon, Bunker, and Wraith. Each of them have stances, so that was something that we developed very, very early. You can also see they've got basic movement and amount of AP they have. Scoot over here. And we've got our villains. We had just basically three basic types. We have enforcers, minions, and brutes. Brutes is the big guy there, and enforcers are the medium size, and so on. Over here, we have our how the round gets started. And when you want to make an attack, you actually have to go through all of these scenarios here to figure out everything that was going to happen when you did an attack and if it did hit. Because one of the things that goes on in the game is you have to determine, am I able to make the attack? Did I see the target? Am I able to hit them? And then once you hit them, you have to roll for damage. When you're doing anything in the game, whether it be the movement or the attacks, the tape measure here was one of the key tools we had to use. Basically, 1 inch equaled 5 feet. And so if you're figuring out range for attacks, we had to measure out how far we could go, which was a little bit tedious, but it worked out pretty well. And we also had to roll dice, so we had D20s. The game is actually loosely based on a D20 system. And so you rolled 2 dice. One was for your the accuracy of your attack, and there was a whole lot of factors that went in there, such as range, your attacker's movement, different obstacles, the defender's speed, all these things. And so we tried to put that in there, and it got to be pretty time consuming as we went through trying to figure out how to do this stuff on the fly and still play the game. So the result was we had our wonderful intern actually put together a calculator here. And so this was pretty cool. We were able to go in and have a dice roll that was for our check to hit. And here we could actually modify all the different stats. So everything, including obstacles and range and defender speed, would all affect that. And down below it would tell us, did we hit? If we did, then you're able to check the damage. And over here, we can make further adjustments to each of the characters. In this case, we did a severe damage. And then we would put in the damage account for that particular attack. Let's say it was 15. We'd go through, obviously they didn't take 150 damage, but that was one of the bugs in this little piece of software, but it worked anyways. And also your condition of the character. So if you're weak or heavily wounded, actually, in that case, you wouldn't actually take as much damage from smaller attacks. But in this case, with it being severe, you would take the full brunt of it. So this was a really handy tool, saved us a lot of rolls, and made things a lot easier. All right, and so basically the way the game would flow is we would move a character, and if they were in a squad, which these guys would be, you'd be able to position them within range if you were dealing with the enemies based on their movement ability. So the enemies would go according to initiative and the heroes as well. So that was also on a rolling system. You also got bonuses on your initiative based on your speed. So that was another factor that we calculated in pretty early in this physical prototype that held through to the entire game developed digitally. So anyways, this is our physical prototype really helped us speed up development of the game. I thank you for joining me on this little insight into development of Sentinels of Freedom. We're hopefully going to be posting lots more content and videos and kind of making of, as well as just getting to know the team here. And we thank you for your time.